Good morning. I certainly want to thank all of you for coming out this morning, and also thank our city council members over here to the right. I know that they join me in certainly the concern over what has transpired over the recent days, and since the beginning of the new year, we have seen too much tragedy and heartbreak. The genesis of these violent acts begin with selfish and ruthless individuals who have little regard for the sanctity of human life. Although it's natural to compare crime data, behind the statistics are mothers, fathers, sons, and daughters whose souls have been crushed. Adding to the misery, neighborhoods must now deal with the anxiety and frustrations of a reckless few. As mayor, I will not accept this, and I hope our community will not accept this evolving narrative. We all have a crucial role to play in elevating our city. This issue goes beyond the work of the Tuscaloosa Police Department. The breakdown of family structures, the continued decline of individuals taking personal responsibility are beyond the reach of any government or law enforcement agency. That being said, we will do everything within our power and influence to provide for the safety and security of our city. To our faith-based communities, social service agencies, institutions of public and higher education, it is time to redouble your efforts. Your respective organizations have the ability to shape minds, change hearts, and deliver services that can provide a pathway to a new life. Working together in the past 10 years, we have been able to provide the Tuscaloosa Pre-K Initiative, Hope Initiative, summer jobs programs that have produced tangible results. Let's do more. To our community members, if you know of criminal activity or have information regarding this investigation or others, we need to hear your voice. Only you can take back your neighborhood, your community. And now is the time for us to stand up, and we will stand with you. Lastly, we all need to involve ourselves in the upcoming legislative session. For the past several years, the City Council, as part of its legislative agenda, has requested that the state fully fund and enhance services within our criminal justice and mental health systems, in particular corrections, pardons and parole, and mental health. Unfortunately, with declining state revenues, these services, which directly impact every single citizen of Tuscaloosa, are strained to the point that it's jeopardizing public safety. Prisons are filled to 190% capacity, and the only remedy is to downsize without adequate resources in place for education, substance abuse counseling, and job training. The flawed remedy of releasing people from prison without the needed infrastructure is creating a crisis, but these emergencies are being felt in Alabama's largest cities. The rhetoric of slashing government may make for effective sound bites, but the practical matter is that this revolving door of criminal justice is creating havoc in our communities. It is leading to individuals who serve time, if any, come out of a system ill-prepared for a modern work world. Thus, the only viable option is going to lead back to a life of crime. In short, our officers are arresting and rearresting the same individuals. And in too many crimes committed in Tuscaloosa, we see the same individuals who have absolutely no fear of the state's criminal justice system. Despite this backdrop, we are doing our jobs. When benchmarked against where we were in year one of our administration, we have made strides in reducing crimes, especially violent crimes. Moving forward, without Montgomery's support, the progress of our community, and most importantly, the safety of our city, will be in the balance. As mayor, I don't have the luxury of hiding behind ideology or hoping that better days are ahead. To that end, I have authorized a series of tactical measures as recommended by Chief Anderson. I believe in Chief Anderson, and I believe in the Tuscaloosa Police Department. Although we cannot disclose specifics, I am confident they will provide a short-term strategy in dealing with what is in front of us. However, moving forward, we must encourage our state leaders to comprehensively address the fundamental flaws that we see in corrections, mental health, pardons, and parole. At this time, I'm going to ask Chief Anderson to give you an update on ongoing investigations, and touch on other matters. Chief?
Good morning. As you all are aware, we've had 4 homicides in the last 6 days here in our city. Of those homicides that we've had, 2 occurred on Friday night around 10:45 p.m. The individual responsible for those homicides, as you all know, was arrested and has been charged with capital murder. Then on Monday morning, around 2:45 in the morning, we had another homicide. The individuals that are responsible for that homicide have also been arrested and are in the county jail. On Tuesday morning, we had 2 attempted murders that occurred in our city, and the individual that's responsible for those crimes turned himself in on yesterday and was booked and processed at the Tuscaloosa County Jail. So yes, we've had a rash of crimes over the last several days, and the investigators and the men and women of the Tuscaloosa Police Department and the Sheriff's Department, Northport Police Department, and the University of Alabama Police Department have worked extremely hard to resolve those issues and bring the individuals that have been responsible for those crimes to face justice. Now, yesterday afternoon, approximately 1:20 in the afternoon, we had our 4th homicide of the year and 4th homicide within 6 days. And we're still working. That case is still under investigation. We're following up on leads. We sent some still photographs out yesterday of a suspect car, or a car that we're interested in getting some information on. And that car was a Honda Accord, either silver or tan in color or champagne in color. And it is a 97 model through 2002 model. And we're asking anyone with information on that vehicle to give us a call at the Tuscaloosa Police Department or the Tuscaloosa County Homicide Unit or Crime Stoppers. We're also asking for anyone that was in that area yesterday between 1 and 1:30 to contact the police department, Crime Stoppers, at a homicide unit. We know from surveillance video of the area that there were a number of people that were out there during the time of this case and may have seen something that may help us bring this investigation to a successful conclusion. Investigators and police officers spent long hours late last night working this case, and they've continued to work this case today. And we're going to continue to work this case until we can resolve it and find out who committed this crime. The young man that was killed on yesterday was not from our community. He was from another community and was traveling through Tuscaloosa. And so we owe it to him and to his family to resolve this crime for them and bring the individuals responsible for his death to justice. Now, to kind of put in perspective of where we are with our homicide numbers right now, we've had 4 homicides in January of this year. Going back to last year, we had 7 homicides. The last homicide that we had in 2015 was on August 24th of 2015, and that was our 7th and final homicide of the year for the city of Tuscaloosa, and we've had 4 this year. We're going to put officers out there in the community. We're going to look at the way we are patrolling the community, especially in Council District 7, in an effort to bring a high visibility of the police officers and be more proactive in areas where we're having huge spikes in crime as a way to address that. And we will begin that process very shortly, and we will continue to work through this process and bring pressure on the individuals in our community who are causing these problems, to the point that hopefully we can either arrest all of the individuals that are out here causing the problems, or force them to change the habits that they're doing and comply with the laws of this state. And that's all I have. Anyone have any questions? Yes, ma'am.
Speaking about District 7 a little bit, it seems like prior to April 27, 2011, we talked a lot about Rosedale and Alberta as far as crime. Do you feel like the criminal element in this community has shifted, particularly to James Harrison Parkway, Skyland area? Just talk a little bit about that.
Yes, as a result of the tornado on April 27th of 2011, we did see a shift of crime from the Rosedale area and from the Alberta area to Council District 7. And a lot of that shift was because of the displacement of people that lost their homes and had to move where they could find affordable housing. And they were able to find that affordable housing in Council District 7. And as a result, a lot of the issues that we were having in Alberta and in Rosedale have migrated over to Council District 7.
Chances of a police substation in District 7?
We've been talking to Councilwoman McKinstry about that, and so it's been discussed. Don't have any idea or any plans of when that would even be a possibility, but we are talking about it. Any other questions?
All 4 of the people killed this year have been really, really young. Kind of talk about how sad it is that our young people in the community aren't valuing life in a sense.
Well, it's a shame that we have so many young people, and especially young black males, who feel a sense of hopelessness and who don't have any skills to resolve conflicts without having to go to violence to do that. And that's what we're seeing in our community. And we've been seeing that for a long time here in Tuscaloosa and in other parts of the country, that we have these individuals that have relationships, and those relationships become adversarial, and there becomes a conflict, and they seem to not have the proper skills to deal with those conflicts, so they result in gun violence, and it doesn't work for the community. It's a lose-lose situation for everyone. The individual that loses their life as a result of this violence, they and their families are affected. The individual that is arrested and eventually incarcerated for the murder, they're affected and their families affected, and it does nobody any good. And so what I would like to see is to have the individuals within our community that have power and influence to come to the table and help us figure out a way to deal with this situation. It's not just a situation that city government and law enforcement can resolve, but it's going to take the entire community, even the families of the individuals that are engaged in this type of activity, and they know who they are. There are certain families in this community that they know what their sons and daughters are up to and what their sons and daughters are doing, and they need to have a frank discussion with them about how the decisions that they're making and the actions that they're taking not only affects them, but it affects a lot of people in the community. And we need to start having a serious conversation about that and get some help in here to deal with these situations.
What do you want the people out there to know? I know we've seen a lot of, obviously, crime in the Aspen Village and Heights at Skyline area. People are talking about moving out. I know we've kind of talked to a few people out there. What do you want them to know?
I want them to know that the situations that we've dealt with, and we still don't know all the facts to the case on yesterday that occurred in the Heights of Skyline, but the other 3 to 4 incidences that we've had at the beginning of the year have not been random. So they're not random acts of violence where we have roving gangs of individuals that are committing these acts, but these are crimes that are being committed by people who have some type of relationship, and then a conflict arose in that relationship, and as a result of that conflict, it led to violence. So it's not random acts of violence. So I don't want people to get hysterical and think that they are. Then I also want them to know that we have an incredible homicide unit, and they have done an amazing job and put in a lot of hours to follow up on these cases and get the individuals that are responsible for committing these crimes, get them off our streets, and put them behind bars where they belong. So I want people to know that we're out here, we're working hard to make the community safe, and we're going to continue to work hard to make the community safe.
May I follow up on that?
Yeah, of course.
If we would have had a press conference on January 2nd, we would be talking about going 5 months without a homicide. Well, we would be celebrating a 30% reduction in homicides from prior year. That would be the narrative. But over the last few days, we certainly have seen an increase. And we want to do, I think I, as mayor, want to express 2 thoughts about what we can say to our community. Number one, what we did last year worked, and we're going to continue those efforts and build upon it to continue to improve the safety of our community. Number 2 is that this police department is going to have the resources necessary to deal with this short-term strategy. However, and it gets glossed over too often by the media because it's so simple to report on the homicide but not search for the deeper meaning. And I challenge every single one of you in this room to do that. Don't fall for the simple byline of the story. what is happening within the state's correctional system. When they talk about slashing services down in Montgomery, when you talk about releasing nonviolent offenders early who have no substance abuse counseling, by the way, most of them come in and come out with substance abuse problems. Most of them come in with lack of education, not being addressed. And then lastly, not having the job training necessary to reacclimate within society. Who do you think is filling those burdens? It's cities, and it's Alabama's largest cities that are dealing with these crises. But yet, none of that ever gets talked about in the narrative. So it's time that as you hold me accountable and our city council accountable and the police chief accountable, when are we going to hold Montgomery accountable for that? We are doing our job. 29% of the city's budget goes to the Tuscaloosa Police Department. We are putting the assets in play to deal with it. We are doing our job. Look, we need help. And I would encourage all of you to dig deeper. If you go for the quick and easy soundbite that may play well on the 5 o'clock newscast, you are hiding the real problem. You're not looking under the hood and seeing that these root causes are not addressed. It's going to be very difficult for law enforcement to manage it in the future. Any other questions?
Chief, if you, the mayor spoke about this a little bit, but if you would just speak from law enforcement's perspective on your officers, it seems like encounter a lot of the same people over and over again, maybe, once they get out of prison.
Yes, some of them are not even going to prison. I'll just give you that caveat. But yes, we do arrest the same people over and over again. What we're seeing is that for years our prisons have been overcrowded, and so we've come up with different solutions to to address this issue that don't involve sending people to prison. And when we place people on probation and we place people in community corrections, but we don't provide adequate supervision for these individuals, they continue to stay in our communities and they continue to commit crimes. And so we do come in contact with a lot of individuals who we arrest for the same crimes over and over again. And the officers get frustrated, but we know that we have a job to do, and that's to make the community safe. And so no matter how many times we have to arrest the same people, time and time again, we're going to continue to go after those individuals and do everything that we can to get them off of our streets and make our community safer.
Any other questions?
All right, thank you all.
Thank you.